Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Financial Literacy number 3. This is the final class in the series.
No, it's 4, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, there is 4.
I mean, I'm not a numbers guy, but
the next is on the 15th, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's actually the first week in December. We moved it because of the holiday.
It's December 6th.
Correct.
December 6th. Okay. I'll keep that on my calendar. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for keeping me honest on that one, Jim. I got your joke.
Yeah.
Not a numbers guy.
Right.
It's the turkey talking.
Yeah. Jim will be hosting the Fireside chat on the 6th as well. This evening, we are going over credit cards, building credit and credit card debt. I think that's correct, Jim. Did I say that correct?
Credit and lowering debt. Yep.
So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Jim, and I will be sharing my screen. I'm going to go on mute and turn off my camera.
Great. How many of you guys, a couple of you, I don't, how many of, is this your first one? Jay, this is your first one, right? Kenneth, were you on any of our previous 2? I think Kenneth is on mute. Yeah, just more so checking in, just if some of you are new. So my name is Jim Chikaris. I'm the managing partner and founding partner of a CPA firm called Apex CPAs and Consultants. We have offices in Illinois, and then in 2020 we opened an office in Phoenix, Scottsdale area. So I work exclusively with growth-minded, closely held businesses. I'm a certified public accountant and certified valuation analyst. So we do a lot of tax work, a lot of CFO level work for growth-minded businesses, and a lot of personal and business income tax and that sort of thing. So it's something, finance is something that's near and dear to me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to take what experience I have gathered over the years, and maybe there's something I could share with some of you, and my hope is that there's at least some takeaway that you guys can walk away with. Okay, and so this is, as Karen mentioned, this is a collaborative. It's a bilateral discussion. I have a framework and a presentation here just to serve as a guide. But at any point in time, just feel free to ask some questions along the way. And obviously, we want to be mindful of everyone's time, so keep it to an hour max, right? So so what will that be? That'll be 4:30 Arizona time. So I'm in my Illinois office. So I think there's like a 1-hour time change now, which makes it a lot easier for me when I travel back and forth. But anyway, yeah, we'll get started. So today's topic is our third session, and it's on building credit and lowering debt. Can you just scroll up just a little bit more? Can you maybe make it zoom it down a little bit, maybe a little bit smaller? Yeah, that's probably good. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, so building credit, lowering debt. So the basics of credit cards, understanding credit scores and reports, types of debt, and repaying debt. Okay, next slide. So our agenda today, I kind of broke this down into 5 main sections. The first one, requesting your free credit report. Reviewing your credit reports is number 2. Disputing errors on your credit report when you identify those. Getting and keeping a good credit history. And knowing your prepaid card rights. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about requesting your free credit report. Has anyone out there, have you guys all seen a credit report before, or how many of you have not seen a credit report before? Okay, so you guys are all familiar. Okay, so there's a couple.
Wait, can you ask what was your question again? I'm sorry.
How many of you have never seen your credit report before? Or
I've seen my credit report before.
Okay, all right.
I'll go.
I see my numbers, but I don't know. I mean, I don't. I don't see. I mean, it varies from time to time too lately.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's like really three main credit bureaus out there. So we can go to the next slide. Right there. Okay. So your credit report can be used for more than just loan approval. A lot of times, even if you're, applying for rent, to lease, obtain a lease at an apartment complex, or you're, wanting to set up, your utilities or your cable, you're purchasing a vehicle or anything like that, purchasing a house, they will almost always run a credit report on you. Okay. There's really three main credit bureaus that are out there, and that's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Okay. Now, these three credit bureaus, they will all give you a credit score that runs anywhere from, call it 0, which would be a really, really, really bad credit score, by the way, up to, I think, like the max is like 850, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 850 is like the maximum. And we'll kind of get into the ranges of what's, an okay credit score, a good credit score, a very good credit score, and an outstanding credit score. So I'll kind of show that at the very end, so you kind of know what that is. But these three credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, whenever people apply for loans, like this is always, it's posts and they record it with the credit bureau. Okay, so the credit bureaus, while oftentimes they have a lot of the same information, sometimes there are timing differences. Maybe Equifax will receive something or process, update your credit score at a different time frame than maybe Experian or TransUnion. So there may be differences from one credit score to the other, one credit bureau to the other. But the most important thing is, as you're reviewing all these, making sure that the information on those credit reports are accurate. That it's like, wow, there's something on here for Ford Motor Credit for a $25,000 loan, and I don't have a loan with Ford Motor Credit. Well, that would be a big problem, right? We'd want to make sure that we follow up, because we're looking for, not only ways to improve our credit score or understand what's on our credit score, credit report, but also to make sure that there hasn't been any fraud or any kind of issues that maybe somebody like identity theft or that sort of thing. So managing your credit report is very, very important for more than one reason, right? So now and like I said, each credit report will have different information on it. I'm included a link on each of these slides, right, that take you to really good resources that are available to you. As a matter of fact, this one that is called annualcreditreport.com. This one allows you to get access to a free credit report, comprehensive credit report. I think like once a year, they allow you to pull a credit report. So I'd recommend, at a minimum, you want to look at your credit report once a year. And if there is a small fee to look at it more periodically, especially if you're trying to work on improving your credit score, I think it's pretty economical to do a few bucks to run it. But then you can sort of manage it as you're working on paying down debt and that sort of thing. Okay, so there's another. Have you guys ever seen an app called Credit Karma? You guys seen that? It's actually, I think it's owned by Intuit now. And
Yeah.
it's actually, it's not like perfect. It's not as up to date as maybe going direct to an Equifax or direct to an Experian or TransUnion, but it really is pretty good. And it's an app, and then you could check it like as many times as you want, and it's like free. So, I look at mine all the time to see, like, say I pay off a loan or something like that. I like to go in there and see, okay, that the loan has been removed or whatever, and then you watch your credit score go, pew. Okay, so that's kind of fun. But Credit Karma is a really good app to if you're interested in just kind of gaining a pulse on where your credit score is. But I would always rely on going direct to one of these three credit bureaus. Okay. All right, next slide. Here's a little bit of like how to request your free credit report. So you can pick a method to order your credit reports. I recommend online. I mean, anytime we can do something online, I recommend it, so, you can, go to any of these, like I said, you could go to that, you could go to that link, annualcreditreport.com, and all three of them will be there, or you could go direct to Equifax's website, Experian's website, or TransUnion's website and run them there as well. Yeah, Jason, question?
So I'm on my bank page, and I usually can see it from there. That number on my bank page might be different than.
Mhm.
Okay.
They may not have the most up to date, because I don't know that the credit bureaus post to some of these third party apps immediately. So
Gotcha.
they may do it once a month or something like that. So whereas the credit bureaus are a little more instantaneous. Like if I sell my house,
Yeah, I gotcha.
closing, I pay off my loan, that credit bureau is going to reflect it pretty much right away, like within a few days. But it may not get to your bank's website or to
Like
my
Chase or whomever you. Yeah, I gotcha.
right. It's not going to post as timely. So, but like I said, that tool is a really good, just sort of a pulse, right, to kind of see where you're at, to check.
Yeah, I gauge it off that, and I guess I guess I should be more thorough, but I try to stay up on that almost daily. Shoot.
Yep. So like when you go onto these credit bureaus, a lot of times, because it's very sensitive information, right? I mean, this is, your credit score is very sensitive. It's like as sensitive as maybe your tax filings, your income tax filings, and that sort of thing. So they're going to have some security questions. Usually it's, surrounding your social security number, date of birth. You might need to provide a birth certificate, all this kind of stuff. Okay, so just be prepared that, you may have to go on there and they're requesting some information. You may have to go back to get what you need in order to finish the security questions. So you want to review those credit reports carefully. As I mentioned earlier, they probably will be similar, but there may be some differences between them just due to timing, and that's okay. But the most important thing is that everything that is on there is accurate. Okay, your name, your address, your social security number, all the loans, if there are loans that are on there, are those all your loans? Are there, a lot of times it'll list accounts that you closed that maybe have been paid off? Do those all look accurate? So you just want to review all of those things. Affect your credit score. So you just want to make sure that everything that is on there you recognize as maybe a current loan that you may have, or a prior loan that you may have that you've paid off. Okay, so you just want to make sure there isn't anything on there that looks like, I don't know what this is. You want to inquire about it, even if it shows that it's zero, because it may be that somebody opened up a credit card under your social security number and maybe just hasn't used it yet or something like that. That could happen. So you just want to make sure you recognize you should really own everything that's in there and understand what's on your credit report. Yep. So then here's a link. If you look at that link, requesting your free credit report, when you get this, this PowerPoint, this presentation, you can click on that link and it'll give you all the information you need in order to access those free credit reports. Okay. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. All right. Now, once you get there, go to the next slide. All right. Reviewing. We touched on some of this, right? We want to look through these credit reports carefully, make sure everything, all the information is correct. Errors can happen, and they can negatively impact your credit scores and your ability to get a loan. So these are really the four main areas you want to look for. You want to look for accuracy, inconsistency among the credit reports. Like if there's something on one but not on another, just make sure that it's more of a timing thing and not that it might be an indication that, something just, let's say somebody fraudulently opened up something under your social security number, but it hit one credit report, before the others. That could be an indication that, hey, something is maybe out there that you need to investigate. So you'd want to look into. That's why it's good to get all three. Okay. Second one, identity theft. The third one, identity theft. So we talked a little bit about that. Man, that's on a rise right now. I see it. We file probably 1,000 tax returns a year. All right. And we see it all the time when we file electronically and we have I mean, we have so much sensitive information on our tax returns, right? Social security numbers, dates of birth, their income level, all of that. If anyone ever got their hands on one of our tax returns for our clients, they could open up all kinds of credit cards because it has everything that you would need would be in there, right? So that's why you want to be very careful. We see identity theft happening all the time where somebody's identity is hijacked and we try to e-file the tax return and they have a refund and they say a tax return's already been filed under that social security number. That's a really, really scary thing. So it's out there and it's real. So we want to be mindful of these bad actors that are out there taking advantage of us. And then fourth is fraud, which, I mean, I don't know, identity theft is fraud. So it may be a bit redundant, but, you just want to make sure people are opening credit cards all the time under, false social security numbers and all of that. So it's amazing how much information we put online when we, fill out applications and all of this stuff. Anytime that information can be, intercepted, there are people that'll do bad things with it. So you want to review these credit reports, frequently just to make sure that there isn't anything that you don't recognize on there. And if you do, then I strongly recommend you investigate it. And you call the credit bureaus, and I'll have a link at the end too. It'll give you all of the phone numbers, the addresses, the websites for all three credit bureaus. So that's also another really good resource. If you ever see anything that you don't recognize it, they'd be a great resource to call. They can help you investigate it. So like I said, best to order all three credit reports. It's most important to make sure the information listed on each report is accurate. All right, next. Okay, a little more on this. Okay, so we want to start by getting our free copies of credit reports. So in this link that I have below this, you see it below there, the consumerfinance.gov. Okay, review your credit reports. If you go in there, that'll also give you access where you can, use the requesting your free credit reports tool, and that'll give you all the step-by-step on how to access those. And then read through each credit report carefully. Okay, use the checklist as a guide. So like, again, if you click on this link here, when we send you this presentation, you can click on this link and it'll give you, there's a whole checklist in there that will have you like, this is how to review a credit report. And it'll, tell you, is my name correct? My social security number correct? Is it my correct phone number? My correct current address, previous address? My employment history will be on there. All of your accounts, if any of them are in collection, it'll lay it all out. So you want to look at that checklist and go through all three of your credit reports to make sure that you're covered in that area. But this checklist will tell you really what to look for. So I think that's a really nice resource. If you find any mistakes on your credit reports, you should dispute them. There's another module in this link that is called Disputing Errors on Your Credit Reports. It's a tool. You can use that to get started. I'll cover a little bit on the next slide. In addition to your free annual credit report, you can also request free credit reports weekly from each of the nationwide credit reporting agencies. Now, it said through April of 2022. They may have extended that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they were offering it free through the pandemic, but that may start, but they still offer it now for a minimal fee. Okay, so, and then here's the link again, the annualcreditreport.com. So I encourage you to check that out. And you can also get 6 free credit reports every 12 months from Equifax through December of 2026. So Equifax extended it. So yeah, I mean, you can at least start there, and then maybe you got to pay a small fee for the others if you go over one. Okay, next, disputing errors. All right, how do we do that? Okay, so not only should you dispute the error with the credit bureau, but you should also, whatever the creditor is that's listed on there, let's say it's a credit card with Chase Bank or something along those lines, if you're disputing, like let's say maybe it's a late payment, and you're like, I know I paid this, right? So you want to also contact the creditor directly. And from there you'll have to be, want to make sure you have, proof that you paid it on time, proof, or maybe it's proof that it's not your credit card and that you didn't open the credit card, or that sort of thing. So you want to dispute it not only with the credit bureau, but matter of fact, I would probably start with the creditor itself, right? I would start there and get all of your facts from there. How did this get on my credit report? And then you could then take it to the credit bureaus as well. But you want to not only contact the credit bureaus, but also the creditor who's listed on your credit report. Okay. So I had an issue. So I had a condominium that I rented out. It was a rental property that I had on in the South Loop of Chicago. It was really nice. It overlooked Soldier Field and Lake Michigan and all that. It was really great. And I bought it because I thought we were going to get the Olympics, back in 2000 and when would that have been, like 2008 or something like that. And that was complete flop. Like we never even got close to getting the Olympics. So then I was stuck with this condo. But anyway, so I had a tenant in there and I ended up selling the condominium, right? But when I sold the condominium, and the new owners took over, they didn't pay like the utility bill, like the energy bill. It was like the gas bill, and it went it was like 8 months behind where they didn't pay the bill. So it was on my credit report, and it like dropped my credit score by like 100 points. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I had to basically provide them the closing statement, like when I sold it, and that, all of the, that I had paid all my utility bills up until the date that I sold the unit. And I had to fight to get them to remove it from my credit score. And then they eventually did. But really, and then my credit score went back up like 100 points, which is like huge. Because at the time I was trying to like qualify for a loan. And it was like my rate was going to be way higher because my credit score was affected by this inaccurate mark on my credit score. So once I got that removed, it was it was a really big deal. But had I not reviewed my credit report, I never would have saw that. And these guys, they don't have any, like the utility company. It's like these people, they're not like they want to just get it accurate. They're not like trying to hurt your credit score. So if it's not yours, they'll make the changes. Like they want to get it accurate. Like they're not out to get us, but you just got to make sure you've got all the right documentation. And like I said, just, but you got to review it. All right. Start with a phone call and document everything. Very important. Document everything when you call them. Who you talked to, the date you called, what communication was exchanged, what recommendations they gave you, what information you provided them. Like you want to just keep a written document of all the conversations and the dates and what you discussed and who you talked to. Okay. So, okay, let's go next. I'm going to pause there. You guys have any questions? I know this one actually, out of the three that I've done so far, is like there's like the most, like you just got a little more technical. There's a lot to managing a credit report, so there's a lot to cover. So I know I'm going through it kind of quick because I want to make sure I get it all in. But I'm going to maybe pause for a minute and see if anyone has questions or things that they'd like to add, or things to share or something. We could take a minute while I chug some water.
Jim, I'll share. This is Karen. So about, I'm going to say 3 years ago, I decided that I was going to make a conscious choice to improve my credit. So I downloaded Credit Karma and then just like went after it. So I want to say, and prior to that, my credit was never really bad, but it was never really good either.
Yeah.
I want to say that, like, I feel like it has to be a conscious choice when you're trying to rebuild your credit. It's not something that happens overnight. It's definitely something that you have to work towards. And now I am happy to say my credit score is an 820.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But
Damn.
I know, but I did have to work really hard at it. And so it is possible, is what I'm saying. But it did take it took like 3 years of me making a conscious choice to literally work at it.
You
So
guys, yeah, an 820 is an exceptional score. That is a very, very exceptional score. Yeah, I doubt you'd have a problem getting many loans, Karen.
no, they come after me all the time. I have no
Yeah,
problem.
I bet they, right. Yeah, yeah, you're pretty low credit risk for sure.
Yeah.
No, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think Jay wanted to share something.
Okay.
Jay, do you want to come off mute?
Oh, I didn't. I just had to join back because I lost my connection.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
That's all I wanted to share, Jim.
Yeah, Jay, that's a pretty sweet jacket, dude. I like it.
Thank you. You should see the boots that go with it.
That's all right. That would be weird on a Zoom call. Okay, cool. All right. Disputing errors on your credit report. Okay, part 2, my next slide here. Okay, getting ready to dispute, right? We're going to the mat, right? We want to make sure that we're going in, hey, there's some on my credit report I don't agree with. So you want to review those mistakes you identified in the reviewing your credit reports tool. Again, it's on that link that I showed in the previous previous slide. That would be the one on yeah, that's review your credit report. I think that's going to be a couple slides back, where that's part of the review your credit reports tool. Yeah, it's a couple slides back. So that will, you could use that as a guide on how to review your credit report. Gather any documents that you have that support your dispute. Copies of your social security card, if you have that, birth certificate, or any personal identity information. If you're disputing a mistake related to that information, if you suspect that the error on your credit report is a result of identity theft, there's a link here called that you can go to identitytheft.gov and take the steps necessary to follow through on that, and take the help where you can get it. You want to really protect that. Okay. Then submitting the dispute. You could submit a dispute to the credit reporting company by phone, by mail, or online. I'd probably start by phone, and then I'd shift that to doing it by mail, and we'll kind of get into that, how I would recommend doing that under using certified mail with postmark receipts, so that you have like a strong trail that it was sent. Okay. So yeah, you start with by phone, and then you follow up by mail. Sometimes they have a dispute portal, a portal that you could go to, and you could fill it out that way and submit. So you could take advantage of that as well, because that'll leave a good trail as well. Okay, they usually send you a confirm back that they've received it. So then you want to maybe set up a file on your computer where you're storing all of that stuff digitally. In that dispute, explain the error and what you want changed. Clearly identify each mistake separately. State the facts. Obviously, we don't want to just say, I think that this is wrong. You're going to have to, kind of state the why you think it's wrong, right? Explain why you are disputing the information and request that it be removed and corrected. You'll also want to send a letter explaining the mistakes. In that link, in this, the links, that link that I provided you a couple slides ago, there's actually a letter template in there that you can use that will tell you all the information to provide, and then kind of, where to explain what the issue is. But, it's a really nice template. I actually really like it. If I ever had a dispute, probably lean on that template. It was really good. It like covered a lot of the information I need to include that, you know, would maybe take a little bit of effort to think through it all. So it was laid out pretty nicely. So I would consider using that in that link. Include copies of all of your supporting documentation. Don't send them originals. They don't need originals. All right, send them copies of everything, and retain all your originals. Okay. You can send a copy of the dispute to the business or individual that provided the incorrect information. So like I said, like if it's a loan that isn't your loan, not only do you want to notify the credit bureau, but you also want to contact the creditor and say that you're disputing that that loan is your loan, okay, that it's not your loan. So I have my biological father who is estranged. I haven't seen him for a long, long time. My mom divorced him years ago when I was 4 years old. But his name is the same as mine, James N. Chikaris. Our middle name is spelled a little different, so I wasn't a junior, but it's James N. Chikaris, right? Well, there was some issue where something on his credit score showed up on mine. It was right when I wanted to get an apartment and I was trying to set up my telephone service. That's back when we actually had phones in places instead of just our cell phones. I know I'm dating myself, but you know, those did exist. They had cords on them and everything. But anyway, I went and signed. They said they wouldn't because I was in default on like a car loan. And I'm like, yeah, that definitely sounds more like my biological father than me. Right. So then as I dug into it, it actually was his loan. And they just somehow, even though they do it by social security numbers, sometimes, you know, somebody's got fat fingers or whatever the case is, they don't have social security number. So they put in the name and then it just pulls up, you know, maybe in the database, you know, who it must be or something. Right. So I think in that particular case, this was something that ended up on my credit score that really wasn't mine. It was a family member that had the same name as me. So that was then they were able to get that removed. So these are little things, and there are innocent mistakes that these folks make, but you know, but it does happen. So look at it closely. And then use certified mail with return receipt requested. So you go to the post office, they'll tell you how to do it. You say, I want certified mail to send this package. That gives you, you know, your dispute letter and all your support for it. They'll walk you through how to do it. It's really easy, and it costs a few bucks, but it's worth it. Because then you've got definitely, so no one can say it got lost in the mail or something. You've got a receipt that it was sent. Okay. All right. Next slide. Disputing errors continued. So, you know, that's going to take a little while. It might take 30 to 45 days for them to process it, for to look through it, but they'll always get back to you. You know, they actually have 5 business days to notify you of the results once the investigation is complete. All right. So they will get back to you. Again, they don't have any motives for having something inaccurate on your credit report. They want to get it worked out, but so they do take it seriously. Okay. If the error is fixed, you'll receive a copy of your updated credit report. The furnisher must also send the correction to the various credit reporting agencies. So in my one case with People's Energy, they then immediately notified the credit bureau to remove it from my credit report. Okay, so you know, they will do that if they determine that it was done in error. Okay, I got a link here. Here's the link that's down there, disputing errors on your credit report. I strongly recommend that you click on that when you receive this copy. It will make this copy available online where you can click on these hyperlinks and it'll take you to. So some really nice tools there. I encourage you to explore and look at them. And I think it's they give you a good head start on some of this stuff. Okay, if you disagree with the results after they do the findings, you know, you can send the credit reporting company a letter again, right, following up that you still disagree with it, and they have to clearly note that the information has been disputed. So, you know, whether they change it or not, they will document in there that you are still disputing it. Okay, and then submit a complaint to the bureau at this link right here, consumerfinance.gov. complaint. So you can file a complaint if you feel that it's still not accurate. And then you can also, there are lawyers out there and counselors that work specifically with people to help them improve their credit or know how to handle these types of disputes. So you can always seek some legal advice or professional advice on what to do when you aren't able to resolve it on your own. Okay, there are people out there that'll help you.
Sounds like you need to hire Karen if you need help.
Yeah, how about that? Lead by example, right?
I will teach you my tricks.
Aha.
I was
Right.
taught by one of my brothers, so I will be more than happy to pass on the wisdom.
Well, it's almost like, so how might, think about this, how might getting good credit history be different than keeping good credit history? Keeping good credit history is pretty easy, right? What do you think you got to do?
Work for it.
Work for it. Work on what?
Just making sure that you maintain your bills and keeping a track on what it is. It's kind of like once you get it, then you just maintain it. It's kind of like business in general, right? Like you have to grow it. And then once you get it where you want it and get it established, it's just maintaining.
What do you think the most important thing you could do to maintain good credit?
To have credit.
Have credit. That's good. What
Yeah,
else?
it's hard to just get it. It's getting it, but then just maintaining it and paying the bills and like you said, paying attention to it, checking your reports and making sure that there's not false stuff out there.
Paying your bills on time,
Yeah.
Correct.
right? Like if you pay your bills on time, your credit score, you can't, I mean, that's the number one thing you could do in maintaining your credit score, right? Keeping your credit at a manageable level. Now, getting credit, right? It's kind of like your credit score is really impacted by how much access you have to credit and what your maximum borrowing capacity is relative to how much you actually have outstanding on that. So if you have 3 credit cards that have a limit of 5,000 each and you have $2,000 outstanding on each of them, your credit score would be lower than if you have 3 credit cards with $10,000 each maximum and you owe $2,000 on each of them, because you're using less of what your total borrowing capacity is. And the way they look at that is to say you're disciplined in where you have access to this debt, but you're choosing not to use it all. So oftentimes, if you could just want to start getting credit, if you could just find some company, a credit card that will allow you to open it up, and then you just don't use it, that's going to help your credit score because it shows that you have discipline in having access to borrowed money, but not using it. And then if you do use it and you pay it off right away, that gives your credit score even more muscle. Where you really get in trouble is when you have, 3 credit cards with a limit of 10,000 each, and all 3 of them are at 10,000. Even if you're making the monthly payment on time every month, which is still good, it's showing that you're basically at your borrowing capacity. Okay, so go ahead, Jason. You have a question?
Jason, I think you're still on mute.
You're on mute, bud.
Sorry about that. So I think it was either last week or 4 weeks ago. I think maybe on the first one, I had mentioned that I had just gotten my first business card and it was for like $3,000 or something. And I was kind of pissed because I felt like the guy kind of pulled the wool over my eyes and he was like, "Oh, we'll just see if what you qualify for and we'll tell you what it is." Well, the card came and it was for $3,000, but it wasn't for the full amount of what it is that I needed to purchase for, right? So I was like, why would I want a card that only allows me something where I have the money to pay cash for? And well, last week I was or 2 weeks ago, I was kind of bitching about that. But in that time, my credit balance now has gone from 3,000 to 6,000 because I've always made those quick payments.
It's good.
Like I haven't allowed that balance to, like, as soon as there's money on that balance, I'm like, I don't want to see that number. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see any balance in there. I just want to use it for emergencies and gas and things like that. But because I paid it so rapidly, like I said, my balance or my available credit line went from 3 to 6 within like 2 or 3 months.
Well, I think that's good. Like, I mean, if you don't have the ability to pay that thing off in a month and you're using your access to this revolving line of credit or this credit card as a way to like supplement or subsidize your lifestyle, that, I mean, I would strongly discourage that because that's a really difficult, it's like trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
No, I see. Like, I used it. I knew that I was going to be purchasing that water fed equipment thing, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to use it to purchase that, and then I'll pay the cash off that way. And so it's been a really, like, at first, it's so funny how all these things align. Like, I didn't really understand the whole idea of it, so I'm glad that all of these classes are coinciding with my life. Thank you.
Yeah, no. And I think that that's great, utilizing it, paying it off right away. But if you don't have a plan to pay off that credit card, I mean, we have we're interesting creatures, aren't we? Because we find ways to justify why we need to use a credit card or why we need to do this or do that. And you really want to be careful. Like, it's like spending it before you have it. And in some cases, when you're getting into business, it's a little bit different, right? It's like if I borrow money to buy a piece of equipment that is going to generate revenue for me, then maybe that makes where I could justify it a little bit more. But if it's consumer debt and you don't have the cash to do it, like, you shouldn't be buying it. And I understand if it's cases of emergencies and that sort of thing, but then you have to take a hard look at some of the previous sessions we had. Say, were there some things that we were spending our actual cash on that were discretionary in nature that put us in a position where we didn't have a reserve? So then an emergency happens and then we justify needing to use a credit card. Oh my gosh, I had to put new tires on my car. I had to put new brakes on my car. But if you really take a look at, okay, the past 6 months, did I spend my cash on something that was discretionary? Because the mistake didn't happen. The mistake didn't happen when your car broke down. The mistake happened when you made all those consumer purchases 4, 5, 6 months ago that you paid cash for instead of building a reserve for when those things might happen. So it's like a mindset that it takes discipline. And sometimes it's like we want stuff. I want stuff all the time, and I've got 2 kids at home that want stuff all the time. And it's like I've got to make sure that I'm a good, I'm playing good defense too, and I'm preparing for when something goes sideways, so that I've got the resources to pay it. Because we could always find ways to justify, well, I was in a bad way, I was in a bad spot, I had to use my credit, and I don't really have a plan to pay it off. I couldn't afford the repair. I couldn't afford this. Yeah, think about maybe areas in the past that were maybe eroding your your income and where that money was spent. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of just keeping strong credit and having a little bit of cushion, so that we're not like making it so hard on ourselves when these emergencies pop up. And I understand life happens, but if that does happen, then you got to really tighten your belt going forward and chip away to pay that credit back down, so that you're not affecting your ability to borrow in the future if you need it, because there are times where you're really going to need that. And so anyway, a little bit of my soapbox, I guess.
Jim, you know what keeps on that's ran through my head all week, from your financial literacy class last week, is be the master of your money. Don't let money be the master over you. Is that what you kept on saying last week?
Be your money's master, not its servant.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that, and it stuck in my head, and it like all week I've been thinking about it, and I'll probably think about it for the rest of my life. But that's the same thing like with credit. It's such a slippery slope. And Jason, just like they gave you $6,000 in credit.
Yeah,
That's dangerous.
my
That's-
credit. No, see, but and it's like also what we talked about last week too. I don't. Pardon my tongue, guys, but I don't fuck around with my money. Like I don't. I'm afraid. I've always been afraid of it.
Yeah.
So I don't play with it. I use that for my gas. My credit card is only for my gas and for any tools that I might need, but I don't need any tools for a lifetime. I have all my other tools now that I need. From time to time, I may need like what they're called rubbers, but it's not prophylactics and things like that. But like I don't even need that anymore. Like Dawn soap I need, and that's about it. So I pay with that, and then instead of using my business card to pay for my gas, I pay that, and at the end of the month. So and it works out great.
Yeah, that's it. That's a great plan. And you'll continue to build your business credit in doing that. But it's dangerous because they will keep on giving you more credit.
Yeah, and I'm in the market, or I will be in the market for a new vehicle. And I'm waiting for my numbers and I really, because I only see the one at Chase, and it recently, like I said, it went from like 670 down to like 623 when I opened the card, but now they just bumped up my limit again. So I would imagine that it would probably be going back up.
Yep, I would agree with that. I bet it will go back up.
But
Yep.
it hasn't hit. But it hasn't hit on Chase's little thing yet. But I'm excited to see that because, like what you said, you're like, "Ooh, that makes me feel good."
Yeah. It's really empowering.
Like I'm doing something. Like I'm doing nothing. I'm doing something small, but I'm doing it, and it sucks that that it took so long to get this shit going. But it was also on that, not because I didn't have any bills in my name, because I've always paid cash, and it's so frustrating that it's like, look, like I'm established. Why can't you know what I mean? Like it pisses me off.
Yeah. Well, good job. Jim, I'll give it back to you. Sorry I interrupted.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so getting and keeping a good credit history, whether you've already established a credit history or you're just starting out, there are things you can do to improve and maintain credit history. There's no secret formula. You just got to have a strategy, right? Implement the strategy, develop good habits. Like I said, getting credit, just find anyone who will give you credit. If you could demonstrate you have some form of income, right? Somebody will give you credit, whether it's a gas card, whether it's a department store credit card, or that sort of thing. If you just begin to maybe use it a little bit and pay off that bill every month, you're going to see like you're going to show up on the radar. And now this is somebody that has credit and is responsible with credit. Then the credit cards will start coming, your bank cards, your Visa card, your MasterCard. And, once you establish those, and if you're responsible with those, your credit will continue to go up. Then you build your credit score up to a point where, you could qualify for a loan for a car. You could qualify for a loan for a house or a condo. And so then you begin to build it up there. But again, only borrow what you can pay back, right? And then once you have that debt, you make sure that you pay everything on time every month. We have a question. Entrepreneurs Growth Group.
Yeah, it's not a question. Mark Martel. I'm a lot older than everybody on this call. I've had multiple companies. I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I just wanted to comment about credit. This is interesting. When I started out and needed money, no one would give it to me. Now, after having 18 companies, I get calls all the time. So here's my point. It's a game, guys. It's just a game. And you need statistics. It's like a batting average in baseball. You need to use credit and then pay it back on a timely basis. So you've got a track record. That's all it is. If you and I was listening earlier about paying everything in cash. That's great, but it's the worst thing you can do to establish credit. Bank or anybody underwriting wants to see that history. So that's all I'm saying. You got to look at it. I played baseball at one time, and you got to look at it as just your stats. It's what's your batting average, and if your batting average, and in credit, if you've got batting 1,000 and others paying that's everything off on time, you're going to have great credit. That's my point.
Yeah, excellent. Well said. I couldn't agree more. It really is a game, and it's a tool. Your credit score is a tool for you to do other things, right? And I was actually a facilitator. There's a program out there that Dave Ramsey kind of sponsors. It's all like on money management and everything. And I was a facilitator of that for a while. And his whole thing is, get into a system where it's like your credit score is irrelevant. You pay cash for everything. And I think, well, there's some validity to that. There are certain things like if people are trying to start families and they want to, do that, like it's really, you got to have like getting a mortgage. I mean, it's unrealistic for anyone to be able to save up and pay cash for a house before they, when they're trying to get started early on. I mean, you won't have your house until you're, 50 years old, so, there's a little bit of that, but just being very, very consciously aware and respectful of the debt that you have. And you are right. It is a game sometimes it is necessary, but just be responsible with it and make sure you keep your credit clean. And when that bill comes due, that you pay it and you don't borrow any more than you can pay. Okay. So, building and maintaining good credit history is an ongoing activity. Make a habit of reviewing your credit reports each year. Pick a time, like maybe it's on your birthday, maybe it's at the first of the year, New Year's resolution, first week of the year. I'm going to check my credit history. I'm going to my credit report, and I'm going to, make some steps in order to improve my credit. Those are all things that you should at least look at it annually. But if you want to even take a look at like one of these credit score apps, like Credit Karma, like we talked about earlier, I would recommend doing that. Yep. You have another question?
Yes, I do actually. So I can actually, you know what? I'm going to shoot you a personal question, Jim, later on after this is over. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank
good.
you. I appreciate it, buddy. I'm not going to take everyone else's time.
Yeah, no, that's good. And who's the Young Man Entrepreneurs Growth Group? You had another question?
No, sorry, I left my hand up.
Oh, no, that's all right. Yeah.
I'll put it down. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
actually,
like
Jim, I will ask real quick, if that's all right.
What's that?
I will ask this question actually. Let's say someone is selling a business. Would the business owner's credit score reflect? Could it change bids from prospective buyers?
No, I mean, if there's a personal guarantee involved, it could.
Okay.
But usually not. Usually one's personal credit score, if they own a company, and you're dealing with commercial debt, that's a different animal.
And is there a business credit score and a set? Okay. Thank you. So I guess that was an important question.
Yeah. Okay. Entrepreneurs Growth Group. I'm sorry, sir. I don't know your name because
I'm sorry. And I've got to change it. Mark Mertel. M-A-R-K.
Mark. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I'll just chime in on that question too. I've been very lucky and I've sold numerous companies. The whole key to selling a company and getting a good rate is that bottom right-hand number, your EBITDA. And there might be personal guarantees, but generally I agree. My credit score never came into the picture. It was how long are they going to be able to run out that earnings? So it's all about that bottom right-hand line.
Right. Yeah. So, and I just want to, and I think it's a great point. This is, I think, really more geared toward personal finance. So, I would love to get engaged in a conversation about, business finance and M&A transactions and all that. That really gets me going. but I don't want to put the rest of you guys to sleep.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I want to be aware of everybody's time.
yep.
Jim, we are getting close to 4:30. If anybody does need to drop off because they have another commitment, that's okay. This meeting is being recorded and it will be placed in the asynchronous learning. So I just wanted to say that we probably will go over. That's okay. But I just wanted to say that the call will be recorded.
Yeah, I only got like 1 or 2 more slides, so I think we're going to land the plane on the runway here.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Sure. Knowing your prepaid rights. So you have certain rights under the law and the terms of your cardholder agreement. Any of you guys use prepaid cards? I mean, I've never had a prepaid card, so I guess maybe if somebody bought me like a gift card or something like that, but I've never really used a prepaid card. So maybe some of you guys can educate me more on that. So I'm kind of talking about, this is what I was able to find on prepaid cards. This is an issue that we wanted to address in the program. But I'm not super familiar with, I would imagine that, if these prepaid cards get in the wrong hands, they could be used. So you want to make sure that they're secure and that they're registered. So you'll have the most protection if you register your prepaid card. I couldn't agree more. I think any time that you have something that has a monetary value on it, you want to make sure to register it. Maybe you set it up with a PIN or a passcode. So that not anyone, if it's lost or stolen, can access the funds that are there. Choosing how you receive government benefits, prepaid card, direct deposit. I'm a big fan of just direct deposit, having a bank account, and maybe it's linked to a debit card that I may have. I'm more comfortable with that, just getting that money closer to home where it's in the bank and it's secure and it's insured. I like that. You can sometimes choose how to get paid from an employer. If it's a payroll card, they must offer at least one other method option, a direct deposit. All of our employees that work for me, they're all direct deposit. So that's how we choose to do it. And then protections from fraud and errors, report them promptly. So if you see that there's any misuse on your card or someone else got access to your card, you want to report that immediately. If you lose your card or it's lost or stolen, you want to report that immediately too. That's why it's important to register it. Okay.
So I'll chime in on this one a little bit, Jim. My brother used a prepaid credit card. So there's difference between like a prepaid like Visa card and a prepaid credit card when he was rebuilding his credit. I did not do this, but his experience was you have to qualify for them. You give the money up front to the prepaid credit card, and then you can only spend that amount.
Okay.
And it's a way, and then it reports on your credit.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's another way that you can rebuild your credit when you cannot qualify for a credit card.
That's an excellent point. That's really good insight. That sounds like something that's probably a lower bar too, right? To get a prepaid card because it's pretty low risk.
Yeah. So you have to qualify still, but you give them the money up front and then you spend that money, but it does get reported on your credit report. So
good point.
I did not have that. I didn't use that, but my brother, that's how he rebuilt his credit. So if anybody does go that route, that's how it works.
Good. That's a good recommendation. All right. Good recommendation. Final slide here, guys. FICO credit score ranges. This is kind of where we're looking, right? I mean, you want to really be up in that 740 to 740 range. When you get into 740 range, you get more preferred mortgage rates, more preferred credit card interest rates, higher borrowing limits, and all of that. So as you can see, like our esteemed colleague Karen is at 820. She's well up into the exceptional range, which is exactly where you want to be. But you really want to be anywhere, 740 on. I mean, if you're in the good area, that's good too. I mean, you're going to be able to buy a car. You're going to be able to qualify for a mortgage, but you're going to get better rates and more borrowing power if you're in the 740 and higher range. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you so everyone knew. But Yeah, and if you're in the fives, you know, yeah, you definitely, there's some work that you can do. And that recommendation that Karen made about the prepaid card is a really great place to start. Once you get maybe some of your other balances more in line and get some of those credit cards paid off and paid on time, then you'll see your credit score begin to improve.
And then again, I would like to say, when I started my journey, I was at a 620. So I was at fair. I was in the yellow.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the blue, but it did take me 3 years. So
Yeah.
it is possible, but you have to make the conscious choice to actually work at it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So I've got, again, with the other presentations, I have a resource recap. So all the links that I have in the presentation, I've got them summarized right here. So, you could, and they're kind of labeled.
Yeah.
So you could go through those, and that they're all in one spot. Then you just click on them, and that'll take you. So I encourage you guys to explore the tools that are in there. It gives a little more detail and some templates and checklists and stuff that support what was in this presentation. And
Jim,
I have one question.
Go ahead.
So I missed financial literacy 1 and 2 because of a lot of issues in my personal life.
Yeah.
Now that I'm able to attend to these, one question is, because I have no credit, started the journey this route. I was told green thumb card, something like that.
yeah. Green Thumb is one of those prepaid credit cards that I was just speaking about.
Okay.
So you can do that one. And then Jay, as far as the classes go, they're going to be on your asynchronous learning. I'll send you the links to them so that you have those. And this one will also be in there, so all of them will be in.
Okay.
But as far as like rebuilding your credit, you can start, as Jim said, the first thing that you're going to want to do is get your credit report.
Okay.
This is what I did. Get your credit report, sign up for Credit Karma, and then get a prepaid credit card.
Okay.
And start working on your credit. And it's going to be a journey, but it's really rewarding, like Jason said, when you see your scores start to go up. And then from the prepaid credit card, you'll start to qualify for credit cards. You
guys want to hear something funny real quick?
Yeah.
About bad credit scores? I didn't want to get married to my wife because my credit was so bad.
Oh, because you had credit, you had shame.
Credit shame.
Credit score shame.
That's a real thing, Jim. I used to have it too. I had student loan shame. I still have student loan shame.
Yeah. I love how we're honest here.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. You didn't want to, drag her into that. I totally understand. I remember my wife did that to me right when we were getting married. So for my 40th birthday, she bought this really nice weekend getaway trip for us. Is like this really nice golf weekend at this nice resort and everything like that. And she was in tears because she put it on her credit card, and she was in tears that she couldn't pay it off. And she said, I just have to come clean on it. And she was felt horrible because, she just was always raised to be very responsible with money, but she wanted to do this for my 40th so bad that she just did it. And it really broke her up.
Oh.
And so then we came up with a plan to pay it off. And then she, felt great. Now I don't regret that she did it one bit, because I know that her heart was in it. But it's credit, man, finance and credit. It can be really, really stressful on a relationship, you guys. I mean, it's one of the number one causes for divorce is over finances. And, you got to keep your house in order, play good offense and good defense, do your best to make as much as you can, and then be real stingy with it when you have it. And then keep your eye on your credit and make sure that your credit is rock solid. It's gives you superhero strength. do a lot of things. So anyway, that's all I have for today. And
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the
But-
rest of your evening. We appreciate you. Yeah, thank you
Thank you,
so
Jen.
much. And we will see you all. We'll see you all again. December 6th, Jim will be back with us for the final financial literacy.
happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Oh, thank you, Jim. We're grateful for you.
All right. See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
And Karen, are you gonna post this tonight or tomorrow?
It will probably be posted by Monday.
By Monday? Okay.
The
Good.
other ones are already
All
up
right,
there though.
I'm using my hotspot right now, so that's why I keep getting cut off. I'm not at home right now.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the other
All right.
ones are already up there. I'll send you an email tomorrow.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
How do I leave?
Oh, I'll end the call.